For too long, the Dark Elves have raided into Imperial lands, and the Empire have done nothing. Volkmar did nothing, Franz did nothing, but this mighty general of the Empire, Eumenes, has had enough of these raids by AC Maiden. It's gonna be an RTK versus ODM smackdown, Empire versus Dark Elves on the sandy dunes. Should be a really good fun game here. I'm very excited to delve into this one, and it is a very, very fun, close game, so let's hop straight into it. Now, instantly, you can see we have some pretty inspiring stuff from the Empire, not in the main build, but in the Lord selection. We don't have one of these standard picks. Instead, we have a general of the Empire, Eumenes in the flesh, ride into battle on a mighty Pegasus. Apart from that, coming in completely naked. Now, teamed up with the Empire captain, hopefully they will be enough to deal with Morathi. Morathi is an incredibly scary duelist in the skies with that anti-large halberd and all the ridiculous debuffs. They're going to have to stay very, very close to the range elements of the build to really try to secure victory, but there is plenty of range here from the Empire. In the front, we have triple Outriders. Outriders are fantastic up against Dark Elves, in my humble duck opinion. Pretty good at taking on Dark Riders, Scourgerunner chariots, and some of the flyers. In the main battle line, we have some naked lunatics and fanatics, as well as the Sigmar sons, and more swordsmen and more lunatics into the distance. In the secondary battle line, we actually have crossbowmen. I haven't seen crossbowmen in quite some time. Very stable unit all round. Decent range, decent AP, just solid, nothing too crazy. Not as much damage as handgunners, not as kind of cheap and cheerful as archers, but a nice middle ground in between the two. We do have a load of Empire Knights, just the regular ones here. Their main job today is going to be to block the enemy formations as much as possible and help protect the Outriders at all times. Looks like we have 3 Empire Knights to do that job, and a lone mortar in the back to apply some long-range pressure. We do have an Amber Wizard coming in with a humble Manticore summon and Power Stone. Now that is going to be it for the casters, which is interestingly enough, just the one Manticore summon there. Now for the forces of the Dark Elves, they're certainly looking to drive hard into the Empire lines. We have so many Dark Riders, 2 on the right-hand side, 2 on the left, plus double Scourgerunner chariots, 1 on either flank. Main battle lines are going to be cheap and rather uncheerful bleak swords dotted all the way along, plus some more cavalry in the form of the Cold One Dread Knights, the deadliest, the spookiest, the scariest of all of the Dark Elf kind. They are super edgy and have loads of different spikes on them, but certainly have the might to back it up as well. Up in the skies, it of course is a Manticore, as well as the rather lovely Morathi, flying in here on her own Dark Pegasus, coming in with her wand, as well as Soul Stealer, the Heart Render and Dark Sword, and Enchanting Beauty. She's certainly going to be a tough one to take on. And in the distance, you can see we have yet another Manticore. It is going to be the double Manticore Morathi situation. Now, Scourgerunner chariots do whiz a couple of shots past the Empire captain's face. He manages to duck down just about in time and avoid any nastiness. Outriders are starting to move forward. Empire Knights could do a nice little cheeky harass on the Bleak Swords as well and try to slam into them, but they've got to be careful. There's a lot of Dark Riders around, and they're actually trying to intercept the Outriders, nearly managing to do it before they can get back to friendly territory, but decide instead to turn tails and flee. There's a lot of spearmen nearby and crossbowmen, which is rather scary stuff. Now, some Outriders have trained their eyes on Morathi, and they've not been blinded by her beauty yet. Instead, opening up some shots and trying to fill her with some lead. Scourgerunner chariots are also taking some damage. Outriders, I really like them in this matchup, actually. Really clever pick. Cold One Dread Knights are starting to go down. You can see one model does slump into the dirt. And it looks like the Empire Captain, as well as the mighty General of the Empire, actually managed to isolate one Manticore and take it on in a 2v1 fight. This is beautiful work here by the Empire player. If he can get rid of the Manticores quick enough, he should be able to flee before the second Manticore and Morathi does return. Doesn't look like the Dark Elf player has noticed this. And that may be one dead Manticore, though the Empire Captain's actually taking considerable losses. Bleak Swords do push through the fire and the fury of the mortar to engage in the front line. Empire Knights do a lovely cheeky charge in the front. However, the Cold One Dread Knights are starting to swarm in from the flanks, and we have even more Dark Riders as well, starting to pop in at all different angles. It looks like the Empire going to be calling for some reinforcements as a Manticore is birthed into existence to bring the pain. Empire Knights take a rather nasty sandwich between Dark Riders and Cold One Dread Knights. That is not going to go well for the men of the Empire. Ulric's teeth retreat indeed. Ulrich is not here to protect you. Now, the Manticore summon is going to be going after the Cold One Dread Knights. Not a bad fight whatsoever, trying to support the Empire Knights down on the low ground. It looks like the Outriders have been sent packing, but they are alive. Unfortunately, it can't be said the same for one unit of crossbowmen who have been jumped by the double Dark Riders. We do have a decent amount of state troops in here trying to support, as well as an Amber Wizard wielding his sword and mighty staff to deadly effect, carving his way through many a Dark Rider raider and forcing both of them off. However, it did force the Empire to bunch up, and we get a nasty Soul Stealer coming down here. Manticore is actually going to be able to catch Outriders, which is a really nice play. If he can terror out them, or Morathi can get on top of them as well, this could be a dead unit, and the Outriders are one of the main punch-in power for the force of the Empire today. Really close game so far. It does look like Karl and Dread Knights have managed to hop on top of some Outriders, and we have a big contingent coming around the rear end here. We have Bleak Swords, Darkriders, Dread Knights, all forcing their way into the back line, and it looks like the Karl and Dread Knights are going to get a rear charge onto the Empire Knights. That's so nasty. They do turn to engage, but that is a fight certainly going to be going well for the Dread Knights, particularly if, you know, Merciless Prowess, or Merciless Prowess, whatever their Finn's called, the evil Dark Elf buff goes down. So, Murderous Prowess, there we go, not Merciless. I was getting like, a little trippy there. Karl and Dread Knights do try to reorganize themselves a little bit, hunt down the Outriders as well as the crossbowmen. Mortar is starting to focus them down though, and does need to be dealt with, though it looks like the Dark Elf player is well and truly on top of this. The Dark Riders do shut down the mortar, as we have more Dark Riders swarming in the back. Poor little Amber Wizard is getting surrounded and beaten the living snot out of him by the Bleak Swords. You worship a false god, Cain is for all. Now the Outriders are whipping some shots and doing some nice damage here to the Manticore, and they have been able to rampage it, which is really, really bad news for the Dark Elf player, because it is rampage in it to anti-large spearmen. It is unfortunately normally the way when your big beast rampage, they spot the nearest halberd or spear and go nom 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 and charge directly in, but the spearmen should be able to have their way of it, particularly with the support here of the Outriders. However, Morathi does escape basically full health, and Dark Riders are really putting the pressure on these Outriders now, driving them hard and away, and all the time the Outriders are retreating. They're not pistoliers, they don't have that 360 shooting. Looks like they are about to get caught as well. Couple of pistoliers, or Outriders I should say, going to be going down here, which is a sad sight to see, and then they get caught completely. Dark Riders will be hammering them home. The Dread Knights are doing a decent job. They are trying to help here and surround this feral Manticore who has been summoned and help protect Morathi, who's actually having quite an easy time with the Manticore, though she does take a bit of a punch as well. Bleak Swords have been surrounded by the men of the Empire, and likewise Dark Riders are having to retreat back from some spearmen, but this is a really good little fight here for the Empire. The mighty Bleak Swords trying to form a bit of a shield war, a desperate last stand, brother to brother. Their numbers shall not mean so much, but I mean, there's 80 swordsmen here, which is pretty scary. There's about to be a lot less of them though. The Bleak Swords were able to hold out long enough that Cold One Dread Knight support came in, and Morathi, and this should all of a sudden be turned into a winning engagement for the Dark Elves rather than a losing one. In the distance, Dark Riders are able to force back crossbowmen, but do get dealt with relatively effectively here by Empire Knights. Outriders are able to survive yet again. Empire Captain as well does delve down onto the Dark Riders, start splitting heads open, and screaming a couple of battle cries for Sigmar as he slices two Dark Riders for the price of one. Bloodied he may be, but it is not his blood. It is the blood of the enemies that he requires and demands, and he's pushing towards Morathi now, though we do have the Cold One Dread Knights nearby. There is still a decent chunk of spearmen, 88 spearmen. They're going to have to be dealt with at some point. Outriders are starting to run a little low on ammunition. This unit dwindling, the other one about half ammo left. Does look like Squadron of Chariots are trying to hunt down that General of the Empire and force him off the battlefield for good. He's juking, he's bobbing and weaving, he's doing all 5Ds of dodgeball, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, as he does take quite a few more shots there. Oh, very, very close, down to 797 HP. Very stretched game so far. Bounce power is the tiniest bit in the favour of the Dark Elves, but most likely due to how weak the General of the Empire currently is and how strong Morathi is. Bleak Swords, unfortunately, are going to live up to their name here and have a bit of a bleak time, with the Outriders simply overwhelming them, breaking them, and now the force of the Empire can start to rally. We have crossbowmen, we have spearmen, we have Outriders, we have basically everything you could ever want. Now, really good play here by the Dark Elf player. This is one of the scariest units left to him on the battlefield, is this unit of spearmen, which I know sounds a little bit surprising, but they can do really good up against all his cavalry and Morathi and so forth, so he simply overwhelms them and breaks them before nearby support can come to help them. Squadron of Chariots were able to break the General of the Empire and then break the Empire Captain. They need to be careful though. Only one volley left, and they're kind of wasting a few shots into the Sigmar Sons. They want to probably save their ammo to see if any of these guys do retreat. General of the Empire, -7 leadership. If he breaks off the battlefield, it is all of a sudden not looking quite so good for the men of the Empire, who have the dominant amount of forces left on the battlefield. Crossbowmen open up some shots into some Dark Riders, looking to break them. Outriders do a sneaky retreat, definitely to use them to finish off the Dread Knights or hunt down Morathi. Now, the General of the Empire is gone. It looks like the Captain is about to follow suit as well, which is really good news. The men of the Empire being left leaderless. But despite this, the Empire Knights charge recklessly in to the Dread Knights, do a little bit of damage. You can see some of the dead dinos on the ground, but many more dead knights, as it didn't go too well for them. They're very outclassed now match there. We do have a glorious little fight going down here for Cain and for Sigmar. I know who I would back in a fight between Sigmar and Kane, although it looks like Kane's going to be losing this one. Bleak Swords slowly getting wrecked here. Sigmar Sons are pushing forward, and that is 55 units of unbreakable men, which is quite nice, or 55 models rather than actual units. Soulseer does come down. It looks like the Empire played in some really good micromanagement, though, to attempt to dodge. Only got hit on 2 Outriders instead of all 3, and hey, the one with the most ammo was the one who did not get hit, and they're now lining up those shots on Morathi, who's trying to bob and weave as much as possible. She learned from the best, and is really trying to get out of there, but oh, it's some nasty damage. It's going to be forced to commit to this main fight here. It does look like the Cold One Dread Knights will be going down. Balance of power quite heavily in favor of the Dark Elves at the moment. The men of the Empire barely clinging on, and it's looking a little rough for them. Cold One Dread Knights are breaking. Empire Knights are lanced down into the Dread Knights. Should be enough there to kill them, you would think. They are, in fact, shattered, so both the Dread Knights are gone. The men of the Empire, though the balance power is so against them, I think are in a pretty okay position with all the Outriders. I mean, they've managed to finish off the darkriders. They are running out of ammo, though, which is very problematic. A big wand comes down, clipping a few of the Outriders. Can Eumenes hold on as the men of the Empire? It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be very tough. Maiden's Morathi is very, very healthy, though. She takes quite a few bullets there. Outriders have 8 volleys left on one unit, 5 on the other. All of those bullets need to be connected with Morathi. Squadrons can be a pain in the butt, but they will eventually get dragged down. Even Outriders without ammo can kind of surround them and bludgeon them to death. We also have spearmen starting to rally, and the men of the Empire rally to no emperor, no king, no captain. They simply rally to the great cause that is the Empire of Man, and try to fend off the filthy Dark Elves, who are doing a pretty damn good job, though. Squadron chat is about to go down. It is Morathi versus the world. We have some Cold One Dread Knights returning. Morathi is eventually going to have to commit to a fight here, though. She does pop a really lovely Soul Sealer down here on the center. She kind of baits in an attack. She catches, oh my god, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units with that Soul Sealer. That is a really lovely play. Cold One Dread Knights are about to receive a charge from the Outriders. They do counter charge, but they're so beat up. I don't think they're going to stand for too long, though they are dragging down quite a few Outriders in the process. In fact, break the Outriders, devouring their bodies and their horses with one gleeful gulp from the Cold One Dread Knights, but there's still 46 and 41 Spearmen. Now, Morathi's debuff does make them pretty hopeless in a fight. If she can get over here and sort them out. But it looks like the Dread Knights are going to force the Outriders. Hey, we're going to catch you, or you're going to have to use your ammo up on us rather than our beloved lady. And it looks like that was the intended goal, and it did actually work here. So the Cold Dread Knights are being forced off. Squadron of Chariots trying to just drive away the Outriders. You can probably just turn in one volley the Squadron of Chariots and kill it. Morathi is going to be landing and likewise hunting down the Outriders, considering them to be the biggest threat to her reign of terror. Morathi does manage to catch one. This isn't where you want to be, really, as a man of the Empire. Standing next to Morathi, and it looks like he's actually going to be able to escape. Way, that's a bit of a loss there for Morathi, not able to kill a lone Outrider, and that proves the strength, I think, of the men of the Empire to endure such a horrendous kind of evil witches such as Morathi. The lone Squadroners continue to chase the Outriders, who don't really give a damn about it. They're floating back over to the middle, and Morathi once again is going to be getting surrounded. Now we have Spearmen, which are pretty useful. You can see some of the unbreakable troops are being used to keep the Cold One Dread Knights at bay and away from escorting the lady. Or their lady, I should say. Outriders are popping over. Decent amounts of ammunition left as well on them. 5 volleys. Squadron Chariot is attempting to catch them, so they're simply going to have to flee back to the Spearmen and kind of play a bit of a waiting game here. Outriders continue to loose shots into Morathi. Only 40 armor isn't exactly amazing. It turns out coming into battle wearing basically nothing is normally not the best play, but she does have the Squadron of Chariot here. It looks like the Spearmen might be breaking here. We have a second unit of Spearmen coming in, 46 models, but the Outriders really can stick that kind of lead bullet nail in the coffin if they can drag down Morathi. She is so close to going down. 924 HP. Outriders are going to bomb rush the Squadron of Chariot now that they're actually out of ammunition and try to drag down the dreaded contraption. We still have this unit of Outriders with volleys left. 4 volleys. Is it enough? Can Morathi get a Soul Sealer in time? I don't know. Balance Power has been against the Empire for 90% of this game, but it looks like they are starting to swarm and overwhelm that Squadron of Chariot. Should be able to drag that one down now, and it's Morathi versus the world, but look at these stats. Look how terrible they are. 0 melee attack on the Spearmen right now due to Morathi's presence. They are not hurting her whatsoever, but despite this, her morale is starting to waver as the Outriders have been pouring on quite a decent amount of pressure. And it looks like morathi is just even on the edge. 4 leadership, 0 leadership, just clinging in this fight. Can she get a soul stealer off? Squadron Chats will be running for their lives. Outriders do return, as well as some spearmen, and trying to get in here. These outriders are unable to fire because they're getting obstructed right now by the spearmen. It looks like we are going to be getting a soul stealer. The Sigma Sons tried to run. They knew what was up. They tried running away, but it looks like unfortunately they got caught by it here. Morathi is getting healed, but she's very close to a healing cap right now, and the spearmen aren't wavering. They're holding the line, trying to drag her down and poke her to death. Outriders going to be repositioning. This is really good play here, kind of realizing, hey, I'm not actually finding any of my shots here. I'm going to reposition, try to get to a point where I can actually shoot you, and then bring the hurt. And the Outriders, smelling the blood in the water, are going to charge into Morathi, attempting to break her with that rear attack, and she's desperately clinging on. 7 leadership, only 400 HP, up to 195 kills now, but the Outriders are in a decent position, and they unleash yet another volley into her, bringing low the Witch of the Elves. It is a Pyrrhic victory for the men of the Empire. You love to see it. Very well played to Yumenes, or Yumes. Sorry, I feel like I always butcher your name, so apologies for that in advance. And well played to Ace Maiden as well, doing a really fantastic job with the Dark Elves. What a game. That was certainly something. That was kind of crazy close. Morathi, 196 kills. My god. Only 1.7k damage value, though. The General of the Empire only 700. But hey, he was kind of rolling dirty with his Empire Captain being a nice, cheap option there. And it did allow him to go for a big, juicy 19 stack, including the Triple Outriders, who are the real MVPs today, I think. We'll delve into their damage value to double check, you know, who really brought the hurt for both forces. Very much looking forward to seeing what those Dread Knights did. But we'll delve into the damage value, damage dealt, all that good stuff in just a second. But if you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed casting it, make sure to leave a big old fat thumbs up down below. Comment as well what you thought on the battle, and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content into the future. All those things really help the channel out massively. There's also a load of links down below in the description. One to my Patreon where you can support the channel, and one as well to my Twitch where I do additional streams. And also one to my Discord where you can submit replays just like we got here today and have a chance to have them cast on the channel. Get involved in live streams and events. I haven't really done live streams this week because I've been a bit ill, but we're doing more live streams Thursday and Friday. Going to be a bucket ton of fun. Once again, well played to these players. Really awesome game, but let's delve into the stats. So the General of the Empire, a mighty 0 kills, but he led the line heroically and still got 743 damage value. You got to respect it. We did get both the Manticore summons, I believe, from the Amber Wizard, so he fulfilled his job role. 577 damage value from the Empire Captain. It's certainly very bold going with these guys in the skies. I guess hopefully they're quick enough to avoid morathi and kind of goon Manticores and stuff. You can always fall back to Outriders anyway and then try to use the Outriders combined with the flying units to overwhelm morathi in the skies. The Spearmen did really freaking well. 620 damage value and 720 is certainly no joke. The Swordsmen fared a little bit worse, and not big kills across the board, but the ones that got on top of the cavalry are the ones who got the good value. As for our favourite sigmar-loving lunatics, we got 1,051 damage value here and 116 kills, 91 kills and 25, 480 and 579 damage value apiece. Really solid unit all round, just being unbreakable front lines, always really nice. And to add to that, we also have the Sigma Sons with their 81 kills and 690 damage value. Crossbowmen didn't fare too well, just shy of 400 value and 110's really poor, but that was mainly due to the fact AC Maiden was able to overwhelm the backline really quickly. Empire Knights, 700 damage value, 450 and 48 with 35, 69 and 0 kills across the board. Certainly a mixed bag, but they're basically slightly expensive, fast roadblocks. That's what you use them for. The Outriders did really good though, 22 kills on the first unit with 1,282 damage value. The second unit, 31 kills with 1,653 damage value. And the next unit, 12 kills with 1,234. Pretty outrageous stuff. The Mortar just was really there to drag the Dark Elves into the fight. 250 value, 29 kills, nothing too crazy. As for AC Maiden, lovely play with Morathi, 196 kills, nearly clinching it at the death as well, 12k damage dealt and 1.7k damage value. Bleak Swords did carve a bloody path into the heart of the Empire build, but it certainly took them their time. 73, 4, 22, 24 and 13 kills isn't amazing. 648 damage value, 210, 300, 230 and 170. Not the best display here by the ground forces of the Dark Elves. Now, for the Darkriders, they got 600 damage value, 600 value, 279 and 347. Decent backline harass all round. Karl and Dread Knights formed really well. There wasn't too much in the force of the Empire, apart from the Outriders who could counter these bad boys. 111 and 148 kills is a good tally. 1.1k damage value and 1.5. Really good work there. Squadron of Chariots got 1.4 and 900 damage value of 50 and 18 kills, hunting down the key targets like the Lord and the Captain all day. And the manticore got 291 and 377 damage value. Oh, that is not a good day to be a manticore. Getting gooned out, of course, up in the sky, and the other one being obliterated by bullets and then dragged down by the spearmen. Still, Faith and Gunpowder won the day, but, you know, it was always time for the Dark Elves to come back and strike yet another day. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was awesome to cast, and until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.